Appreciate you spending some time with the show. We want to make sure you're educated voters as much as we can help. So we're going to try to have the candidates on for the statewide races. And so we are now having with us Abe Hamadeh. He is a candidate for the Attorney General's position here in the state of Arizona. Mr. Hamadeh, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, good to be with you.
Let's talk for a minute about your qualifications. We've been asking all the candidates some of the basic questions, which are what uniquely qualifies you for this job, and why do you think you are more qualified than some of the other people in the race?
Sure, Mike. So, I jumped into this race last because I wasn't satisfied with any of the other candidates. But, to get a little bit background of myself, I'm the son of Syrian immigrants, actually. My parents came here to this country 30 some odd years ago, but I know what's at stake right now. And what we're seeing, with the radical left attacking every aspect of our lives is not something we've seen ever before. But I'm a former prosecutor at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, and I'm an Army captain and intelligence officer. So partly why I announced last, actually, is because I was on a deployment overseas in September, and I got back in September of 2021. But, when I came back to this country, Mike, I don't mean this hyperbolically. I don't recognize this place. And so for me, when I was overseas, I actually led a lot of, the implementation of new enhanced security vetting on Saudi's domestic security forces, because you may or may not remember, but back in December 2019, at Pensacola, a Saudi Arabian pilot, actually, he was a terrorist. He killed 3 of our airmen. So I had to implement these new enhanced security guidelines to prevent that type of attack from ever happening again. But I was managing over $100 million and managed a training in country with the Saudi domestic forces, as well as sending them to Ranger School and Navy SEAL School in the States as well.
A couple of things recently that have happened. I should say one of them recently, some over the time that our current Attorney General has been in office, has been lawsuits against the federal government when he felt that the government was overreaching. He's been successful in a lot of those cases. Do you agree with those lawsuits, and would you follow suit in similar situations?
Absolutely. I think, finally, if there's any silver lining to COVID, Mike, it's finally that states have finally realized that, we have powers, we have sovereignty. So, fighting the federal government on the vaccine mandates or, the vaccines for contractors, or even just what happened recently with the Patriots up in Canada, the Canadian truckers, how they're going in federal court now, going after GoFundMe, which is appropriate, because right now what we're seeing is just a complete assault on every aspect of our life, not just from the federal government. Big tech is in on it too, and even some state leaders on it as well too.
Abe Hamadeh is joining us. He is a candidate for Attorney General here in Arizona, in a very important role here, obviously, in the state. So let's talk about the other part of this. The Attorney General just gave a legal opinion saying that he believes that what's happening at our southern border is within the definition, the constitutional definitions of an invasion, and gives our governor the right to use force if necessary. Do you agree with that legal opinion?
Absolutely. I think I actually came out with an ad, a Fox News ad that was playing before that decision came out, Mike. But I met with former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli, who was really, at the forefront of a lot of the fights against the federal government, especially against the Obama administration, way back when. But he was actually the one who, has been leading the charge to actually finally get states to classify this as an invasion under Article 1, Section 10, and Article 4, Section 4. So I do think that it is invasion, and I will give credit when it's due, even if I have criticisms of our current leadership. But I do think that was the right call. And now, the ball's in, Governor Ducey's court right now, too. But I do agree with Bertovich's decision to classify what's going on at the border an invasion, because, when you go down there, don't let the media fool us. It's not just these poor migrants coming across. A lot of them are spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, depending on the country of origin, to get smuggled across. And, the cartels see this as very profitable, human smuggling. And, it's no longer just a drug, but the human smuggling aspect is a big, big problem. And a lot of what happened is, under SB 1070, it kind of gutted the human smuggling statute. I don't want to get too technical, but with that, it gutted that statute. So we don't have the tools necessary to empower our sheriffs and county attorneys to go after the cartels properly, especially with the smuggling going on down there. So I would focus on that as Attorney General as well.
Okay, so what are some of the other challenges you think Arizona faces that your office can control, or that your office can be a part of the solution to? What are some of those key issues for you if you are elected to this position?
Well, one of the big issues, and I don't just say this as a talking point, the election integrity is a big deal to me. When I was overseas on my Army deployment in Saudi Arabia, the way I voted, Mike, I literally had to print out a ballot from my computer, fill it out, take a photo of it, and then email it to the county recorder's office. So back in the day, you'd actually have shipments of ballots come overseas. And, why did we go away from that? And then when I actually got back here in September of 2021, I had 3 mail-in ballots at my house. Only one of them had my name on it. The other one was the previous homeowner who no longer lives in state. And the other one, I have no idea who it was. So, the idea that, our elections, people are concerned about elections, it's a very valid reason. It's not conspiracy theorists, and it's not kooky at all. So I'm going to focus as Attorney General in cleaning up our election systems and making sure that we have a rapid response unit. So if there's any irregularities on election day, that they know where to report to. And I think that, being in the military, we always see that the line of communication is so important. And what happened in 2020, a lot of people saw some irregularities and they didn't know who to report it to. They would report it to the captain and then it would get lost in the shuffle. But we need to have a hotline, filled with both Republicans and Democrats, to be able to actually respond and possibly file some courts and go to federal court with some lawsuits. So that's what I would be focusing on. It's so critical, Mike. I mean, so many military guys overseas, we know what we fought for it, going to Iraq or Afghanistan, rightly or wrongly, with spreading democracy. But we see them dip their fingers in ink, and they're so prideful to do that. And here we have such, lack of respect in our elections right now. We got to regain that confidence. So that's what I'm going to focus on when I'm Attorney General.
So if people want to learn more about your campaign, because obviously we've covered some ground, but there's a lot more to the platform and a lot more about you. If they want to learn about you and learn about your campaign or take part, how do they find you?
Yep, they can go to abe4ag.com, and you can spell, Abe for AG. You can either spell it F-O-R or use the number 4. We got both of them, but abe4ag.com.
I appreciate the time, and I hope you'll come back as this election, as this time moves forward.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Mike.
All right. Thanks. That's Abe Hamadeh. He is a GOP candidate for Attorney General here in the state of Arizona. Again, we are going to try to have both sides of the aisle on. Want you to be informed voters. He's got a great resume, as we've seen so many people. There are some qualified people running for these offices. You're going to have to decide who you think is most qualified. So make sure you go to his website.